Welcome to the spark that lights the night. Nooka's here with vibes that fly so high.
Welcome to Nooka, the podcast that's about to blow your mind with life-changing insights. Today we're diving deep into a book that's not just a bestseller, but a life changer. What if I told you that the difference between success and mediocrity isn't talent or luck, but rather a set of 7 powerful habits? Buckle up, folks, because we're about to unpack Stephen Covey's masterpiece, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Powerful lessons in personal change. This isn't just any self-help book. It's the self-help book that's transformed millions of lives worldwide. Are you ready to become highly effective? Let's dive in.
Whoa, hold on a second. You're telling me that just 7 habits can make that big of a difference? I mean, come on, that sounds a bit too good to be true, doesn't it?
I totally get your skepticism. It does sound almost too simple, right? But here's the thing. These aren't just any habits. We're talking about fundamental principles that have stood the test of time. This book has sold over 30 million copies worldwide. That's more than the population of Australia.
Okay, that is pretty impressive. But still, how do we know it's not just another fad?
Great question. Let me share a quick story that might help put things in perspective. I once knew this Silicon Valley executive, let's call her Sarah. She was the epitome of burnout, working 80-hour weeks, constantly stressed, her personal life in shambles. She stumbled upon Covey's book and decided to give it a shot.
And let me guess, it magically solved all her problems overnight?
Ha! If only it were that easy. No, it wasn't an overnight transformation. But over the course of a year, Sarah completely turned her life around. She learned to prioritize, to focus on what truly mattered. She rebuilt her relationships, found time for her passions, and even got promoted at work while working fewer hours.
Wow, that's actually pretty incredible. But how exactly do these habits help her do all that?
Well, that's what we're here to explore today. You see, Covey's book isn't about quick fixes or life hacks. It's about a fundamental shift in how we approach our lives and our work. He calls it moving from the personality ethic to the character ethic.
Okay, you've lost me. Personality ethic, character ethic. What are we talking about here?
Great question. Think of it this way. The personality ethic is like putting on a mask. It's about appearing successful, using techniques to influence others, and focusing on quick results. It's the world of fake it till you make it.
Oh, I know plenty of people like that. All Instagram filters and motivation quotes, but not much substance.
Exactly. Now, the character ethic, on the other hand, is about building a strong foundation. It's about integrity, hard work, patience, and living by universal principles. It's not about looking successful, but about truly being effective in all areas of your life.
That actually makes a lot of sense. But how do these 7 habits fit into all of this?
Great question. The 7 habits are essentially a roadmap for developing this character ethic. They're divided into 3 sections: private victory, public victory, and renewal. Today, we're going to focus on the first 3 habits which make up the private victory.
Private victory? Sounds a bit mysterious. What's that all about?
The private victory is all about mastering yourself before you try to influence others. It's like putting on your own oxygen mask before helping others on a plane. These first 3 habits are: be proactive, begin with the end in mind, and put first things first.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Let's start with the first one, be proactive. What does that mean exactly?
Being proactive is all about taking responsibility for your life. It's about understanding that between stimulus and response, we have the freedom to choose. Covey contrasts this with being reactive, where we let our environment or other people dictate our actions and feelings.
That sounds good in theory, but can you give me a real-world example?
Sure, think of it this way. Reactive people are like smartphones on auto brightness. Their screen brightness, or in this case, their mood and actions, are completely controlled by their environment. Proactive people, on the other hand, are the ones who consciously adjust their settings. They decide how bright their screen should be, regardless of the ambient light.
Oh, I like that analogy. So being proactive is like taking control of your phone settings instead of letting your phone control you?
Exactly. And it goes beyond just mood. It's about taking initiative in your life, focusing on things you can control rather than complaining about things you can't. Covey calls this your circle of influence versus your circle of concern.
Circle of influence, circle of concern, you're losing me again.
Sorry, let me break it down. Your circle of concern includes everything you care about: the economy, the weather, your coworker's attitude. Your circle of influence, on the other hand, is what you can actually do something about: your skills, your habits, your responses.
Oh, I get it. So being proactive means focusing on your circle of influence?
Bingo! And here's the kicker. The more you focus on your circle of influence, the bigger it gets. You become more capable of affecting change in your life and your surroundings.
That's pretty powerful stuff, but it can't always be easy to be proactive, right? I mean, sometimes life just throws curveballs at you.
Absolutely, and that's where the real power of this habit comes in. Let me give you a powerful example. Have you ever heard of Viktor Frankl?
The name sounds familiar, but I can't place it.
Viktor Frankl was a psychiatrist who survived the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. In his book, Man's Search for Meaning, he describes how, even in the most horrific circumstances imaginable, he discovered that he had the power to choose his response.
Wait, what? How could he possibly have any choice in a concentration camp?
It's incredible, isn't it? Frankl realized that while he couldn't control his circumstances, he could control his attitude towards them. He could choose how to interpret his experiences and what meaning to give them. This realization helped him survive and later became the basis for his approach to psychotherapy.
Wow, that's really powerful. If he could be proactive in those circumstances, I guess we really don't have any excuse.
Exactly. Now let's move on to the second habit. Begin with the end in mind. This habit is all about having a clear vision of where you want to go in life.
Oh, like setting goals?
It's more than just setting goals. It's about having a deep understanding of your personal mission in life. Covey suggests a powerful thought experiment. Imagine you're at your own funeral. What do you want people to say about you?
Whoa, that's deep. And a little morbid, don't you think?
It might seem morbid, but it's actually incredibly clarifying. It forces you to think about what really matters to you, what kind of legacy you want to leave. Once you have that clear vision, you can work backwards from there to guide your daily decisions and actions.
Huh. I never thought about it that way. But how does this apply in a practical sense, like in business, for example?
Great question. In the business world, this principle is often applied through the concept of an exit strategy. Successful startups often begin with the end in mind. They have a clear vision of where they want the company to be in 5 or 10 years, whether that's going public or being acquired by a larger company.
Oh, I see. So it's like having a roadmap for your life or your business.
Exactly. And just like a roadmap, it helps you stay on course even when you face detours or obstacles along the way.
This is fascinating stuff. What's the third habit?
The third habit is put first things first. This is where the rubber meets the road. It's about prioritization and effective time management.
Oh boy, time management, that's something I definitely struggle with. There's just so much to do in so little time.
I hear you, and that's exactly what this habit addresses. Covey introduces a time management matrix that categorizes tasks into 4 quadrants based on their urgency and importance.
Okay, you've lost me again. Quadrants? Matrices? This is starting to sound like high school math.
Haha, I promise it's not as complicated as it sounds. Think of it this way. Imagine you have a jar and you need to fill it with rocks, pebbles, and sand. If you put the sand in first, there's no room for the rocks. But if you put the big rocks in first, then the pebbles, and then the sand, everything fits.
Oh, I get it. The big rocks are the important things, right?
Exactly. The big rocks are your most important tasks, the ones that align with your personal mission and long-term goals. The pebbles are still important, but less so, and the sand represents all the little day-to-day stuff that can eat up our time if we let it.
It makes a lot of sense, but in today's world, isn't it hard to focus on the big rocks when we're constantly bombarded with distractions?
You're absolutely right, and that's one of the biggest challenges we face today. Think about it. How often do you find yourself scrolling through TikTok when you know you should be working on something important?
Guilty as charged. It's like my thumb has a mind of its own sometimes.
Exactly. And that's why this habit is so crucial. It's about consciously choosing to prioritize what's truly important, even when it's not urgent. It's about saying no to the sand so you have room for the rocks.
And I can see how these habits could really make a difference, but it sounds like it takes a lot of discipline and self-awareness to implement them.
You're absolutely right. It does take effort, but that's where the power lies. These aren't quick fixes or life hacks. They're fundamental principles that, when applied consistently, can lead to profound changes in your life.
This is all really fascinating stuff. I feel like we've only scratched the surface, though. What about the other 4 habits?
You're right. We have only scratched the surface. The next 3 habits focus on what Covey calls the public victory, how we interact with others. And the final habit is all about continuous renewal and growth. But I think we'll have to save those for our next episode. There's just so much to unpack here.
Oh man, don't leave me hanging. I'm really curious about these public victory habits now.
Well, I'll give you a little teaser. The next habit is think win. And it's all about seeking mutually beneficial solutions in all your interactions. But you'll have to tune in next time for the full explanation.
All right. I guess I can wait. This has been really eye-opening, though. I'm definitely going to start thinking about how I can be more proactive and prioritize my big rocks.
That's great to hear. And here's a challenge for all our listeners out there. Pick one of these first 3 habits and focus on implementing it in your life for the next 21 days. See what changes you notice. And hey, share your experiences with us on social media using hashtag Nooka7habits. We'd love to hear how these principles are impacting your lives.
Ooh, I like that challenge. I think I'm going to start with being more proactive. No more auto brightness for me.
That's the spirit. Remember, folks, the journey to becoming highly effective starts with small, consistent steps. We'll be back next time to dive into the remaining habits. Until then, keep being proactive, begin with the end in mind, and always put first things first.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is Nooka signing off.
Welcome back, everyone. Last time, we dove deep into the first 3 habits of highly effective people. Today, we're going to explore the remaining 4 habits that Stephen Covey outlines in his groundbreaking book. Are you ready to take your effectiveness to the next level?
Oh, I'm so ready. I've been thinking about those first 3 habits nonstop since our last episode, but I'm really curious about these public victory habits you mentioned. What's that all about?
I'm glad you asked. The public victory is all about how we interact with others. It's based on the principle that true success isn't just about personal achievement, but also about building strong, mutually beneficial relationships.
That makes sense. I mean, no man is an island, right?
Exactly. And that brings us to habit 4, think win-win. This habit is all about seeking mutually beneficial solutions in all your interactions.
Win-win. Sounds like something from a cheesy business seminar. How does that work in real life?
I know it might sound a bit cliche, but it's actually a powerful concept. Think about it this way. In most interactions, people tend to think in terms of win-lose. They believe that for them to win, someone else has to lose.
Oh, like in negotiations, one person's gain is another person's loss?
Precisely. But Covey argues that this mindset is limiting and ultimately destructive. Instead, he suggests we should always look for solutions where both parties benefit.
That sounds nice in theory, but is it really possible in the cutthroat world we live in?
It's a great question. Let me give you a real-world example. Have you heard about how Netflix built its streaming empire?
By creating great original content?
That's part of it, but there's more to the story. In the early days of streaming, Netflix faced a huge challenge. They needed content from major studios, but these studios were wary of this new technology that could potentially cannibalize their existing business models.
Yeah, I remember hearing about that. So how do they solve it?
They created a win-win solution. Netflix offered the studios a share of the streaming revenue, plus valuable data on viewing habits. This gave the studios a new revenue stream and insights into audience preferences, while Netflix got the content it needed to grow its platform.
Wow, that's pretty clever. So both Netflix and the studios benefited.
Exactly. And look at where Netflix is now. By consistently seeking win-win solutions, they've built an empire worth billions.
It's amazing. But surely it can't always be that easy to find a win-win, right?
You're absolutely right. Sometimes, despite our best efforts, we can't find a win-win solution. In those cases, Covey suggests we should be willing to walk away with a no deal rather than settling for a win-lose or lose-win situation.
That takes a lot of courage and integrity.
It does indeed, and that's why this habit is so powerful. It's not just about negotiation tactics, it's about cultivating a mindset of mutual benefit in all our interactions.
I can see how that would build stronger relationships over time. What's the next habit?
The next habit is one of my favorites. Habit 5, seek first to understand, then to be understood.
Oh, that sounds like good advice for arguments with my partner.
Absolutely. This habit is all about empathic listening. It's about truly trying to understand the other person's perspective before trying to get your own point across.
Sounds simple enough. What's the catch?
The catch is that most of us are terrible listeners. We're often just waiting for our turn to speak, or we're listening through our own filters and biases.
Guilty as charged. So how do we become better listeners?
Covey suggests a technique called empathic listening. It's about listening with the intent to understand, not to reply. It involves putting yourself in the other person's shoes, trying to see the world as they see it.
Sounds challenging. Can you give me an example about how this might work in real life?
Sure. Let's use a modern example that many of our listeners might relate to: online dating.
Oh boy, now you're speaking my language. But what does online dating has to do with empathic listening?
Well, think about it. Why do most people fail at online dating?
Because there are too many creeps out there?
That's certainly one reason. But another big reason is that people often fail to truly listen and understand their potential matches. They're so focused on presenting themselves in the best light that they forget to really engage with and understand the other person.
Oh, I see where you're going with this. So successful online daters are the ones who actually take the time to understand the other person.
Exactly. They ask thoughtful questions, they pay attention to the details in the other person's profile, and they genuinely try to see the world from their match's perspective. It's not about impressing the other person, it's about connecting with them.
Oh, that's a really interesting way to look at it. I might need to revamp my Tinder strategy.
Well, whether it's online dating or any other interaction, the principle remains the same. Seek first to understand. When people feel truly heard and understood, they're much more likely to listen to you in return.
That makes a lot of sense. So what's the last habit in this public victory section?
The last habit in this section is habit 6, synergize.
Synergize? That sounds like corporate jargon to me.
I know it might sound a bit buzzwordy, but the concept is actually quite profound. Synergy is about creating something greater than the sum of its parts. It's about creative cooperation and teamwork.
Okay, I think I get it, like how a sports team can achieve more together than any individual player could alone.
That's a great analogy, but let me give you an even more exciting example. Have you ever watched any of the Marvel superhero movies?
Have I? I'm a huge fan. But what does superheroes have to do with synergy?
Everything. Think about the Avengers. Each superhero has their own unique powers and abilities, but when they come together, they're able to face threats that none of them could handle alone.
Oh, I see. Like how Iron Man's tech skills complement Captain America's leadership and Thor's strength complements Black Widow's agility.
Exactly. That's synergy in action. It's not just about working together, it's about creating something entirely new and more powerful by combining diverse strengths and perspectives.
That's actually a really cool way to think about it. But how does this apply in the real world? We can't all be superheroes after all.
True, we might not have superpowers, but we all have unique strengths, experiences, and perspectives. Synergy is about valuing those differences and using them to create innovative solutions.
Can you give me a real world example?
Sure. Think about companies like Google or Apple. They deliberately create diverse teams with people from different backgrounds, disciplines, and ways of thinking. When these diverse minds come together, they're able to create innovative products and solutions that no individual could have come up with alone.
Oh, I get it now. So synergy is about more than just teamwork. It's about leveraging diversity to create something new and better.
Exactly. And it's not just for big tech companies. We can apply this principle in our daily lives too, in our families, our communities, our workplaces. It's about being open to new ideas and perspectives and working together to find creative solutions.
This is all really fascinating stuff, but we're still missing one habit, right? The renewal one you mentioned last time.
Yes. The final habit. Habit 7, sharpen the saw. This habit is all about continuous renewal and improvement.
Sharpen the saw? What does that mean exactly?
Well, imagine you're a lumberjack.
I'm more of a city person, but okay.
Bear with me here. Imagine you're a lumberjack and you have to cut down a huge forest. You start sawing away, but after a while, your saw gets dull. Now you have two choices. Keep sawing with a dull blade, or take a break to sharpen your saw.
Well, obviously you want to sharpen the saw, right?
Exactly, but in real life, many of us keep sawing away at our work and our lives without taking the time to sharpen our saw to renew and improve ourselves.
I see. So this habit is about self-improvement?
Yes, but it's about balanced self-renewal. Covey talks about 4 dimensions of renewal: physical, social/emotional, mental, and spiritual.
Wow, that sounds like a lot to keep track of. How do you balance all of that?
It can seem overwhelming, but it's about finding activities that renew you in each of these areas. For example, exercise for physical renewal, meaningful relationships for social/emotional renewal, learning and reading for mental renewal, and meditation or reflection for spiritual renewal.
That reminds me of something. Doesn't Joe Rogan talk a lot about his daily routine and how it keeps him balanced?
That's a great observation. Joe Rogan is actually a perfect example of someone who sharpens the saw regularly. He has a rigorous physical routine with exercise and martial arts. He constantly learns through his podcast conversations. He nurtures his creativity through comedy, and he explores spiritual and philosophical ideas through practices like sensory deprivation tanks.
Oh yeah, I remember him talking about those float tanks. So he's basically covering all 4 dimensions of renewal that Covey talks about.
Exactly. And that's why he's able to maintain such a high level of productivity and creativity across multiple fields. He's constantly renewing and improving himself.
That's really inspiring. But it also sounds like a lot of work. How can average people incorporate this habit into their lives?
It doesn't have to be as intense as Joe Rogan's routine. The key is to find small, consistent ways to renew yourself in each dimension. Maybe it's a 30-minute walk every day for physical renewal, a weekly call with a close friend for social/emotional renewal, reading a book for 15 minutes before bed for mental renewal, and 5 minutes of meditation in the morning for spiritual renewal.
Doesn't sound too bad when you put it that way. I could probably manage that.
Absolutely. And the beauty of this habit is that it reinforces all the other habits. When you're consistently renewing yourself, you have more energy and capacity to be proactive, to focus on your goals, to seek win-win solutions, and to practice empathic listening.
Wow, it's amazing how all these habits tie together. It's like synergy.
Exactly, you're getting it now. These 7 habits form a holistic approach to personal and professional effectiveness. They're not just isolated techniques, but an integrated framework for living.
This has been mind-blowing. I feel like I have so much to think about and apply in my own life.
That's great to hear. And that brings us to our challenge for our listeners. Last time, we challenged you to focus on one of the first 3 habits. This time, we want you to think about how you can sharpen your saw.
Ooh, I like this. What exactly should they do?
Here's the challenge. For the next week, try to incorporate one small renewal activity in each of the 4 dimensions we discussed: physical, social/emotional, mental, and spiritual. It doesn't have to be big. Even 5 minutes a day in each area can make a difference.
That sounds doable. And let me guess, you want them to share their experiences on social media?
You know it. Share your saw sharpening activities with us using hashtag Nooka Sharpen the Saw. We'd love to hear how you're renewing yourselves and what differences you're noticing.
It's been such an enlightening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much about how to be more effective in my life and my relationships.
I'm so glad to hear that. Remember, becoming highly effective is a journey, not a destination. It's about consistently applying these principles and habits in our daily lives.
Absolutely. And I guess that's why the 7 habits are so important. We need to keep renewing ourselves to keep all the other habits going strong.
Exactly. You've really grasped the essence of these habits. And to all our listeners out there, remember, small, consistent actions can lead to profound changes over time. Keep practicing these habits, keep sharpening your saw, and watch how your effectiveness and satisfaction in life improve.
Thanks for tuning in, everyone. This is Nooka signing off. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some saw sharpening to do.
Haha, indeed you do. Thanks for listening, everyone. Until next time, keep striving to be highly effective.